has scored 2. We see whether the last goal is on the no or the yes. Let's have Rani.
Thank you, Moderator Hoong Ling. I'll also stand, and thank you everyone for staying back. Yeah. So I'm Rani. I actually used to teach law previously, but in 2000 I had resigned to spend more time with my children. But when they went off to school and all, I was free, and that was the time of the black and white Nokia phone. So I used, education has always been close to my heart. So I used to try to do teaching English over SMS. And that's how I started my business 18 years ago from my dining table. But today we have world-class learning platforms. And I believe that, after hearing everything today, we should have a channel where anybody, including MACC, if they have their content that they like to share, they can always put it there. And we can help with creating awareness as well.
Works all the time.
Works all the time. Well, much apologies for the delay, and Rani, please take it back.
Okay, thank you again. And so, our topic is whether economic incentives will help to reduce corruption. May I have the next slide? The next slide. Okay, so what are incentives? Incentives are rewards and punishment that motivate behavior, right? When we say rewards and punishment, it can be in two different aspects. The same incentive can also be a punishment as well as a reward. The next slide, please. So let me explain to you what I mean. This is the story about, in 1787, the British government hired ships to actually export convicts to Australia. Okay, so there's like about 424 people, if I'm not mistaken, but at the end of the day, 1/3 of the people died along the way to Australia. The rest were either sick or beaten up, tired, starving, right? The conditions of the ship that brought them was awful. The captains just wanted to bring them and deliver them to Australia. They didn't care their situation. So people were angry. They voiced it out. Church was angry. They asked them to be more humanitarian. British Parliament passed a law, but nothing worked. The rate of death went up. And finally, one economist said, instead of paying them for shipping them out, we only pay when they ship them and make them arrive safely in Australia. So in a way, it's a punishment that, if you didn't deliver, you won't get your payment. But also it's an incentive for them to bring them safely to Australia. Right? So an incentive can either be a punishment or it can be a reward. Okay? Now, my next slide, please. So what is corruption? Corruption is commonly defined as misuse of public office for private gains. Now, can I have the next slide? So incentives component is simple. Money, bonus, gifts, things like that, right? Okay. Let me give you another story. May I have the next slide? Okay, before the story. So research has shown that more than money, character of people plays a more important role in getting whatever you want. All right? Can I have the next slide? So when we talk about weighing the opportunity cost, this is another story, right? Like if this person said that if I walk past and there was 1 penny on the floor, will you pick up? He said, I will pick up. Will you pick up? But only a few people put up the hand. Then he said, if that was $1 instead of a penny, will you pick up? Few more hands went up. And then he said $100. Will you all pick up? More hands went up. So as the quantity of money went up, more hands went up. But again, the same guy said, if I was with a woman, I won't pick up. Right? Because to him, he wanted to show that he's credible, he's reputable, he won't pick up. So again, the environment also encourages people's behavior and character, right? So money is money, environment is environment, and a person's character. So you have got to balance the three. The next slide, please. So when we talk about incentive, there is intrinsic motivation, which means that it's long term. That means whether you give money or not, the person is motivated by themselves, all right? And they love what they are doing, what they are tasked to do. They make their own choices. They feel proud when they do their work. And also they have a sense of learning and developing. They feel that whatever they are doing, it's helping the environment, it's helping society, it's helping themselves. And they feel that people around them trust them and respect them. So this is intrinsic motivation, which comes out from within. Now the next one, next slide please. It's extrinsic. That means these people will only do when you pay them, right? And when you want to pay them, they do. After that, they want more, like what Chris has shared, right? So every time they expect more and more. So it escalates, right? So can you continue giving more and more? Will it make sense to you? So you have to, if you keep on doing this, it's an expensive journey and not a feasible journey, and you won't get the results that you want, right? At the end of the day, there will be more animosity and a lot of problems arising because of money. Next slide, please. So this third story also is quite related, okay? Those days we all just have tests, but nowadays they have like pre-test, post-test, right? So this little girl, she had a pre-test for her spelling, so she brought back the list, and the instruction is normally like if they give you a pre-test to go back home and learn, you go back, and when you do, if you get all right, then they'll give you one more list with more harder words for the test. But if you get one wrong, they'll ask you to go back home and just learn back the same for the real test. So this girl, she always gets one wrong, okay? But the father and mother couldn't understand. They told her, you know the spellings very well. Why do you always get one wrong? So she said, if I know all, I will get full marks. And if I get one wrong, I will get back the same list. So I know I will score well, right? She knows clearly her end objective. She says, if I get all right, they'll give me harder words, then I may not get full marks in the test, right? So she actually knows the incentive, she made her choice, and she reacted to it, right? So even at a young age, children are already able to make a decision of what they want, because they can feel that whatever rewards that they want, if they can achieve, they are not going to go the hard way. All right? The next slide, please. So what we have is intrinsic and extrinsic. So we know that one is because the person enjoys whatever that they are doing. There's a purpose, there's a reason, and they are happy to do it. But the other part always wants to do something because there's a reward. And we know from the examples that this works well. So even when we are going to give economic incentives, we must find people who are correct people to carry out. People within, the motivation within to work on your goals and your vision, right? Next, please. So when we talk about intrinsic motivation, there's three components. So whether it's your staff, whether it's anybody, you must give them the autonomy. You must trust them enough to let them make their own decisions, because that will give them freedom, right? And mastery. They will also become better, the knowledge that they gain, they'll become more skillful. And the third one is the purpose. because they know why they are doing this, they will upskill themselves and they will perform better. So that's how you grow them within, to create the motivation within. Okay, next please. So let's look at this situation. What do you all see? What do you all see? Huh? Brazil? Very crazy. Exactly. This is a situation where, you know, like a lot of countries where there's lots of unemployment, people have no public transportation to wherever they are living in the rural areas, and they come to the town to actually find work. So there'll be one good person who has a car and he says, all of you jump in, I'll take you, right? So the policeman who sees this, okay, the next slide please. So the policeman who sees this, some may want to give a summon, but some may not give a summon because he understands their position. He sympathizes with them. But the onlooker will say, he took something, that's why he's not stopping the car. Right? So it's a catch-22. You want to do good, but because you are in that position, people assume. Right? But at the end of the day, he was being good. He empathized with them, and he just let them go. Right? The next slide, please. Okay, that was my last story. So, yeah, so back to you, Madam Moderator.